Glukhar is one of Tarkov's toughest bosses, but with the right approach, you can turn a deadly fight into a constant win. And this guide will cover where to find him, how him and his guards behave, and the tactics that will help you survive the fight. Let's dive in. Alright, so diving into the equipment that you'll need. I'll keep this brief since there's quite a variety of different pieces of equipment that you can bring with you, but I'll start with at a minimum you're going to want tier 5 armor. Could be the pre-made like the Baggerly, or tier 5 plates in any of your particular rig. You're going to want a really high pin, pretty good damage bullet. In this case I went with the 7.62 BP. You're going to want plenty of Propofol and Zagustin, which, as you know, Propofol is a health regenerator and painkiller, and Zagustin is a bleed stopper. Because what's going to happen is they're carrying really high powered weapons as well with high pin and high damage ammo, and they're going to hit you really hard, and they're going to push you as soon as they hit you. So you're not going to have time to sit there and do surgery on yourself or anything like that. So you're going to want to pop your Propofol and your Zagustin as quick as you can. So he's going to spawn in 4 main areas. That's going to be the courtyard around the helicopter, the area around White Knight, the pretty large area around K, and the underground bunker. Please note that around the underground bunker, he can spawn on top of the hill or underground where the food reservoirs are. So the first point I want to mention when fighting him is that when you initiate the fight, he's going to either push you, which in my experience is pretty rare, or he's going to just take off and run with one of his guards. He can be anywhere. In this case, I fought him at White Queen, and I searched all around White Knight, back to K, all around the courtyard. Somehow he had ran to the top of Dome. I chased him up there. When I got back up there, I think he went down to D2 because the door was open. So that's just kind of an example of why he's so difficult, is because he's not going to, just fight you straight up. He's going to run and hide. If you kill all of his guards, he's going to find a corner and he's just going to sit there. So it's going to be tough that way. So the second thing I would like to note is I typically like to fight him at night because his guards will have their flashlights and lasers on, and it will make it easy to identify where they're at. However, it is a double-edged sword. It will, help you identify where they're at, but at the same time, with those lights always on, it will blind you, so you have to be careful of that. So the last point I want to touch on is going back to the first point about how everyone tends to spread out. So in this case, you'll see I'm taking on one of his guards at White Pawn. I jump into Bishop here to get a better angle through one of the windows. I don't peek the corner properly, and I paid for it from one of his guards. So just make sure you clear your corners. So now that you know how to take them on, let's jump into some example raids.
Блять, перца щемит! Режу, порвал!